Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. My name is Allan, and today we are going to talk about the Challenge Ride or Dies episode 11. I'm joined by my lovely co-host. We have the Vermontian Zoe Trimboli,
Hi, everyone.
the Southern Luke Muncie.
What's up, everybody?
Episode 11. It was an enjoyable episode. It was, I think, very low-key. I didn't really have any problems, like major problems with the episode. It's more problems I have with the series, but as a whole, it was just an enjoyable 90 minutes.
Loved it. Best episode we've seen in a long time. No, I agree. It wasn't a bad episode. And one good positive came from, and I'll just say it now because it's going to tie into the rest of this. I could make sense of the team twist. We got to see firsthand how valuable it is to keep your ride or die alive on the other side. Okay, we'll talk about that more at the end, I'm sure. And it makes for an interesting game because like having friends doesn't really matter if you like don't have your ride or die on the other side because you're the easy vote to go in. And it was cool to see like the deliberations and just like the kind of shutting people out. So that kind of solidified in my head. Okay, this has a point aside from just shock factor. It might not be like the strongest point, but it made more sense to me.
All it takes is trivia to put me in a good mood. So I'm pretty fickle in that way, but I liked that we got to see some people's true colors come out with this team twist. And I think people actually having to recognize their place in the hierarchy on the show, which I don't know how they didn't know before the team twist, but now they seem to.
Yeah.
And I do think there is a factor of they're like two very completely different games where like Nelson and Nurys, I actually think they were in a very good spot as a pair when people had to nominate four teams because they weren't really anyone's top target and they weren't really the bottom team either. But once they were on their own as individuals, that's where they got exposed. And I do think like they were a team that was screwed over by it. And then you have someone like Casey, who I think her number was about to get called pretty soon because of her brother. But now that she's not attached to him, she's one of the strongest players like in the game and everyone likes her. So why would she ever go in?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you said, Luke, that it doesn't matter if you have friends, I was like, unless you're Casey and Nani, because now you're in a really good position.
Literally, Nani has Casey and Johnny on one team. And on her side, she has the person that Johnny's like hooking up with. Like she's protected from so many different angles. It's actually insane.
Tori and that are protecting her. Jordan would protect her. Like she's insulated.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these people are just stronger as individuals because of all those connections. Whereas when they were paired, just the games were different, or they were just seen as stronger together as well. I will say my big problem with the episodes, not even with the episodes, with the season, is that after last week we find out the twist with Kenny, where there's potentially like a redemption house at play, and that kind of just sucks my energy like out of eliminations because I know there's another redemption house type thing, and it kind of lessens the factor of seeing someone lose. Just to me personally.
I'm curious to see how it's going to shake out, though, because it basically is all riding on their ride or die staying in the game, is what it sounds like. So I think Nelson is low on the totem pole right now. And if that other team loses, if the 500-pound bus team loses, then any of those girls could be vulnerable because somebody's got to go in.
Here's what I liked about it, and this could change next week. We didn't get any clips of like Kenny moseying around like a redemption house being like, what should I do? Because that would bore the life out of everybody. We might get that next week when there's more people there. I'm kind of getting the vibe that we're not, and I'm okay with that. I think it's going to be really cool. Like the grand reveal of like, here's your ride or die. They're still here because the people in the house have no clue. We saw Nani consoling Casey being like, he'll be there when we get home. Like you gave him a great opportunity. It's little things like that that definitely keep me tied into the series or the season, I should say, because there is going to be that grand reveal. And I like to see the shock and see like how that plays out. And it makes me excited.
All right. So let's talk about this episode. Ride or Dies episode 11. What do you guys want to talk about first? Let's just talk about anything.
I like the daily. I think that's a good place to start just because that kind of kickstarts people's strengths, weaknesses, and it was fun. And now, people were complaining from it was trivia, in case you didn't watch the episode, and they were on a wheel that spun, and if it landed on you, you had to answer a question. First team to 5 won. And a lot of the questions dealt with like famous ride or dies, or like questions about the person's ride or die on the other team, which I thought was cool. Like I like straight up trivia, but it tied into the season. It gave some weight to the name Ride or Dies. A lot of idiots are on the show. And I felt like that was like common knowledge, but like the one that stood out most to me, this famous biblical duo lived in the Garden of Eden. How can you not know that's Adam and Eve? Fess even said, I'm not Christian. And duh.
Yeah, I think that just shows people's lack of literacy, maybe. Like, I think she heard Garden of Eden and she blacked out.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's what happened. She's like, I don't know what that is. I think, like, I don't know. I can't say anything. Honestly, worse than that for me was famous sister tennis stars from Compton. I was like, what the fuck? Where
And
am I right now? Chauncey and Amber, not a lot of brains between the two of them, huh?
I'm shocked. And then when Chauncey's like, I'm from Boston, how would I know that? People internationally know that. Like they're kind of a big deal.
They're two of the most famous athletes ever.
Ever.
Period. The end.
It was unbelievable. One of the more unbelievable things as well is that Nelson got 2 questions right, and one of them I was actually shocked he knew. Obviously it's a very easy question for most people, but considering the misses everyone was having, I'm surprised he knew who Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen was. I'm surprised that Nelson was a big Full House fan. Kind of makes sense. I don't know.
Couple things about that. One, I think the bar is in hell. Okay, I am
Fair.
not willing to celebrate Nelson knowing who Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen are. I'm just not willing to celebrate that.
I think I've had to shift my perspective because Allan has said on here the past few episodes, like people don't like Nelson because he's like this brainy, schematic, just brilliant man. He has an entertainment factor that's like the bars in hell. But like his pure joy of getting those very base level questions that a second grader could get right was fun to me. It was cool to see Nurys happy for him. I need to start taking a journal of all the like colloquialisms he tries to say in his confessionals that don't come out the right way. They're just funny to me. And they're not like overused, like needy greedy now, like because he said that a few times this season. I can handle it. It was fun to see Nurys be proud, but I'm going to shift to Nurys. I was really thinking they were setting her up at the edit with her being like, I do trivia all the time. Like, I'm a smart girl. She did really well. And again, the trivia wasn't too hard, but like,
You know, she's a smart girl, just at least compared to the rest of the cast, that she knew what moniker meant.
mhm,
That word alone would have eliminated 50% of those contestants right off the bat. They would
absolutely.
have no idea.
And like we'll talk about it. Like Nurys, the episode ends. She loses the elimination. They have the edit at the beginning of. We talk about it all the time. When someone gets confessionals at the beginning of an episode, it's telling us that they're going to get eliminated because like they're finally being showcased. With Nurys,
it's one or the other.
Yeah, with Nurys, she's been such a big part of this season that I wasn't even on that scent at all because I'm just like, oh, that's Nurys. She gets a lot of confessionals every week. She just has a star presence to her, and that shows like that's like the best thing that can happen to you. Where I have no clue you're going to be eliminated because I'm just used to having you on my screen.
Nurys and Olivia, the stars of the season.
I would agree. And I know a lot of people, like if you're active on like Stan Challenge Twitter, don't really like her, Nurys. I feel like it might just be jealousy because I'm like all in on her. And like Allan just said, she lost. But in their deliberations about like why she should go in, they were saying all these things about how good she is. And I think just because of her stature alone, you don't think about that. She's proven to be smart, good at puzzles, good endurance. Like the girl checks a lot of ticks aside from like large size. But I was starting to think like how Nurys would perform in a final. And I'm not saying she'd like be a killer and stand out, but if she made it to a final, I think she would have a chance depending on the girl she's with. I'm kind of skipping ahead, but we just said she was eliminated. If she doesn't get to come back into the game with Nelson at some point in the game, I really hope she's a lock for future seasons. And this will tie into the next thing we can talk about, I feel. Maybe if we just jump around, if not, push me to the side. But like she brought storylines. Johnny and Raven. Like, and most recently, the Tori and Jordan thing. Is now a good time to talk about that, or am I skipping too far ahead? We can wait.
Go right into it.
So we got more of that today, and I think it showed a side of Nurys that MTV viewers haven't typically seen. We've seen Nurys in love triangles on pretty much every show she's done. She knows how to bring good TV. Her and Deandra are best friends now because of it. Like, is it played up? I'm not sure. Does she fall for men easily? Perhaps. Maybe she just loves men. I like to see the moments tonight on the episode of she gets how Tori feels the way she does. She'll back off if need be, but she's not going to like totally push Jordan out. I like Tori's honesty about like how it probably does seem insane. Like I get how this seems strange to you. I don't hate you as a woman, but like it is hurtful. And I like that Nurys was just like, okay, I get it. I thought it was very real. I think Jordan and Nurys are a hot couple. Like I took a screenshot
Anyone
of
in Nurys, as long as Nurys's counterpart is like relatively attractive, it's a hot couple because she is one of the hottest people I've ever seen in my life.
she has candid moments on the screen where like she's just chilling in the house, and I'm like,
She's so pretty.
how? Who does this on a daily given basis? It's her.
Every confessional, every, like you said, every candid moment where she's just like standing there like this angel sent from the heavens. I cannot believe MTV waited this long to cast her. She's truly like a 10 out of 10 in my book. I think we saw so many brilliant things from her in this episode, but I thought she didn't have to go out of her way to talk to Tori, and I thought appreciated that she did. And like you said, I totally think Tori was being as honest as she could. I like that she said, like, maybe I am just like being bitter and petty and crazy, and maybe I'm doing this out of spite, trying to get rid of her. But I think that Tori had a point, like, do your thing, just don't do it in my face. You can tell Tori's been doing therapy because she was just like having a session with the camera talking about her feelings in regards to Jordan and Nurys.
Yeah. And what's most sad, honestly, is you can tell Tori still loves Jordan. It's almost heart wrenching because she's like, we're not right for each other, not meant for each other. But just for, I'm almost a deep down, but just watching that, she's like, I really wish this could work back out.
When she talked about the twinkle in his eye when he looks at Nurys, like that hit me like in the heart. Like that was a gut punch. I get it.
The line where she's like, "Yeah, how can you not feel like jealous looking at Nurys?" It was just like that hit me in a different way. That was just like such a relatable line. It's just like, and it's just true. I mean, in so many ways. But oh god, my heart fell for her.
Yeah. Now, do I think that did play into her decision to vote her in? Sure. That's a normal reaction. But nonetheless, I was glad that it was like handled maturely. And she even said, this is not personal. This is a great girl. I respect her. And I do believe that she respects her.
Yeah, and it was a smart move. Nurys is a great competitor, and I think she's a really good person on a team because she's like a soldier. She's not going to try and take over. She will do what she needs to do if she feels the team will be successful, but she's not going to hurt you in any way.
Yeah.
Talking about Nurys, we talked about Nelson early in this episode. The episode actually opens with them just talking about the game state, and we see Nelson a lot of the episode just like really angry about being on his team because he was left out of the first vote, where he didn't really know what things were happening. And I mean, this is why you like people are fans of Nelson because he says like, I can't believe there's a game within a game and this team isn't a team. And I'm like, dude, you've been on the show 9 seasons. Of course, there's always a game within a game.
Yeah, I will detract a little bit of my Tori statement, though. She did frustrate me a little bit today when Nelson was vocalizing these concerns in their deliberation, which I think is valid for anybody, even if like they are on the outs. Just like her little smirks and laughs at him. It's like, I don't know. I just didn't really love that. Tori's a work in progress, and that's why I think she's growing on me because I can see her flaws.
You guys see my face when we talk about Nelson, so I would have a hard time saying I wouldn't be doing the exact same thing. Like, I think part of it is he tries to sound so serious, but then he says something about being on the bottom of a podium.
That was one of the colloquialisms. Yeah.
I'm like, how? How do you take him seriously? And I get it. Like, a lot of it was just like an ego thing because he went from being in a really great position in the game to now knowing that he's not. It's hard to take him seriously when he's trying to sound intelligent.
Yeah, and I hate to say it and not to like keep using ride or dies, but he doesn't have any of his male ride or dies there. Like the closest thing is Fessy at this point, and we know their history. Like he really needs a Hunter or a Corey on a season with him just to kind of get him in the right headspace. Otherwise, he's just left to his own thoughts, and that's a scary, scary place to be, I'm sure.
Yeah, he needs someone like to keep him under their wing, like just keep him in check. And honestly, I think Nurys was that for him in a lot of ways. She at least would like hear him out. So I'm a little concerned for him moving forward.
Yeah. There was the scene where they're at the bar and he's just trying to tell Devin like basically about his like how he's feeling. He's like, I hate my team. And Devin's just like sitting like looking around. He's like, I hate my team. You hate this bar? You hate the music? He's like, I hate my team. Oh, that sucks. And it just like that's what he's missing. He is missing a friend, like you said.
I think Devin was still stewing, thinking about Alicia Keys, honestly.
Right. But to be honest, I forgot that Devin and Nelson have such a past as well. Like, I don't know. I just felt for Nelson in those moments, maybe because I like to think of myself as an empath. And like, if I were in that situation, I wouldn't want people laughing at me or like being like, oh, that's what you said. Oh, okay. And he really is on an island. And I'm not talking Survivor. He's just by himself.
I can't believe you think you're an empath.
Oh, I am. You heard it here first. I am.
That's adorable.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think honestly, Nelson's best bet in that scenario would have been talking to Nany. Nany's the best listener on that cast.
And Nany this season, correct me if I'm wrong, but she said that she viewed Nelson as a brother earlier in one of these episodes. I'm like, utilize that. The girl has some serious pull, but he might not have knowledge that she feels that way.
And she, just because she loves him doesn't mean she's going to put him above all those other people. She's not. But she's a good friend when you're feeling sad.
She would at least talk him down and maybe like ease the pain of you're on the bottom of the podium.
What's the podium?
Yeah.
At this point, go for it.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I was trying to think if there are any more like outlandish trivia answers that we got. Like the one that stands out most to me is Anissa's last name, because I'm not sure that I could spell it. Like when I want to look up her stats, I just put Anissa the challenge. With other ones, I usually type out their last name.
I could spell Anissa's last name, and I was super proud of myself. I don't know Fessy's birthday, although I was like, he's probably like a Scorpio or something because that man's toxic. And I was appalled that Nany didn't know Elsa and Anna, TJ, not Anna. Anna.
Right.
Thank you. I was also feeling personally harassed by the producers that they gave Nelson a question based on Vermont. I really think they're targeting me.
I think that's it.
that must be it. There's only like 12 of us in this entire state. And how did they give my Vermont question to Nelson? That's what I wanted.
I don't know. And 2 out of the 12 are Ben and Jerry.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it sometimes. I gotta say, Anissa's last name, I knew how to spell it, but it's one of those ones where I've typed it out so many times, and I just look at it even after I spell it, and I'm like, that's right, but it just doesn't even look right. There's just something about it where you're like, you just never trust yourself. I thought the Bonnie and Clyde miss was pretty egregious too. There were some bad ones, and I gotta say, like one of the things that sucked is that I think, like at least 40% of the correct answers were like spell a word or do math, and I'm just like, I just don't like those involved with this type of trivia.
But Mariah can spell, which is impressive.
That was impressive.
Cannot. She ended the word allegiance with CCT.
Oh gosh. So at the beginning of this episode, they kind of showed all the showmances, you know, Jordan and Nurys, Amber and Chauncey, Nany and Casey, Bananas and Mariah, and Nelson and Olivia. And they did Olivia really dirty in like the little panning on her, in that, like, you know, they had exposed. Yeah, they show some censoring and she pulled up her top. And I'm just like, why did you show that? Why couldn't you have shown literally any other scene of her?
Yeah, like we've said the past few weeks, Olivia's truly grown on us, but it's like her one glaring flaw this whole season is that like she's confiding in Nelson. And hey, more power to her. I'm not really sure like who else she would have gone for, but help her.
I'm not gonna hold that against her.
Right.
No, yeah.
My faves have terrible taste in men.
All I'm asking is that when they pan in on her in the montage, have her top already pulled up just out of respect to her. That's all I'm asking.
You know why they did it.
I know why
they
did
hate
it.
women.
They hate women, but they love their tits.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great fake boobs on this cast.
Agreed. Cosign. There are some interesting scenes. We see Amber and Mariah talking, and I'm just like, oh, these are two people who are sitting next to each other.
Pause.
Luke, go for it.
I was just going to say, I got nothing from that conversation. I mean, I did, but what I got from it most, how exquisite that they were in this purple room with purple lights, and both of them were wearing purple. Like, as I was watching, I paused and I was like, this looks cinematic almost. Like, they're like trying to do like some type of like tonal shot to like enforce the mood that we should be understanding, but it's not. It's just reality TV. And not much was happening, but it was a pretty shot.
They're pretty people, too.
They are.
Sorry. I just tried to change my bedroom light to purple right now, and it just, yeah.
They didn't want you in their tonal mood, I guess.
No,
no, but like,
not wearing a purple shirt, Allan. So,
thank you.
Pull your roll.
Pull
your jets.
I honestly think like we got those scenes of the people going back and forth and talking, and usually that seems pretty scattered to me, but all of it seemed to make sense. Like Mariah made that deal with Nany. Nany said I would save Amber above Mariah, but like, why would I say no? It made sense. But even so, it made sense for Mariah to cover all bases. It made sense for Nurys just to talk to Amber, and Mariah and her friends, they would never. I don't think she would go to Nany and say, hey, save me over Amber, because she knows how that would go. I thought it was kind of like a smart moment for all those girls.
I was on the edge of my seat because I was like, depending on how this elimination gets set up, it's either good. I think Mariah would have just murked all of them, truly. And all the other ones, I was ready for a dogfight.
If Mariah had been the house vote, there's a good chance Nany would have gone against her had she not pulled the safe dagger, I feel. And I do think that her and Amber are close, but I think Amber in this instance, I don't know. Amber's so fickle, and that's okay. I don't know. It was interesting how it shook out, though.
Is Amber fickle, or do people just use her to their benefit?
I had to think about that during the episode, too, because during the deliberation, she was like very upfront and then left and was like, all right, thank you guys, love you. And I'm like, that's kind of annoying. But then I'm like, I think that's just her being genuine and like being able to separate a game from like negative feelings. I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to say I've never been an Amber B hater. Hated her on Double Agents. Provided nothing. But the rest of the seasons, I've been like a firm like supporter of her just because what she did was badass. And she is really good at this game. Like, I'm sorry, even if it's not the social parts, like she's a physical threat.
I don't know if like she deserves the rap that she gets from everybody. Right. I think that a lot of people are threatened by her, and I think that I do think she's genuinely. I think sometimes she's not looking as far ahead in the game as people think she is. I've always liked her. I'm gonna say that now, and that's because I like pretty people because I'm shallow.
And not to get on a tangent, I'm not going to. Just the world would have been a better place had Cam and Corey won Spies, Lies, and Out or Double Agents. Like the world would have shifted. Like COVID would have been cured. World hunger would have been solved. Like $1 million have been transferred to all of our bank accounts. Peace would have been restored to the world. However, I'm happy for her, and she's proven why she won that season in that final and every single season since.
I second everything you said, and think the same could be said for if Nany and Leroy won.
Leroy, absolutely.
She was a killer cardio fiend in that final.
I gotta be real. It's really difficult for me to like rank Amber all time, and I can't believe I can't want to say this. I think she's kind of like the female Nelson who just happened to win. If Nelson had won Invasion, Because it's like, oh, Amber won. It's like, well, Nelson was like 2 minutes away from winning a championship too. Like that could have very easily happened. And like, because here's the thing, Amber has only ever won one daily challenge in her entire career, and that was when Darrell did the trivia on Double Agents. She's never won a daily. Her political game is all over the place. She has a really good elimination record. She can run a lot, but there's just a lot of stuff in the game she just can't. She's not good at,
I think,
and it's just tough.
yeah, I don't think I could co-sign that until I saw her in another final.
I don't think she ranks like high all time. I agree. I think she kind of the stars aligned for her to win, in a very perfect way. But I think there's some people who would crush a final that are not going to be good in a lot of dailies. Like she's not super athletic. A lot of her elimination, she's been against super weak competitors. But she stays around. And
Yeah.
the best ability sometimes is availability. And she's here. And
Yeah.
she's got a win under her belt, which is something two of my faves can't say, at least.
It's tough. It's like it's a 5-1 elimination record and a championship. On paper, that's like one of the best resumes you could have. Like this does not get much better than that. Yet I just can't help feeling there's so many parts of the game she's not good at. And it's just like, I was like, do I think this person is better than her? Like there's like, let's just say like throw out like a random competitor where like I don't think like the difference between her and Nany is like that big. But it's just I don't know what the stats
cardio.
say otherwise.
The
Cardio is big, but it's like Nany can. I trust Nany by herself in a puzzle more. I trust Nany more in a swim by herself. There's like a lot of things where like Amber just isn't capable, like not capable, or just doesn't have the most strength. And we know socially it's a big difference. Politically, it's a big difference. I don't know. It's hard to rank Amber.
If she can avoid all the landmines and make her way to a final, she's in a great position. But there's way more landmines for her than many other people.
Yeah. And I think she doesn't have enough seasons under her belt to even like. You're right. It'd be impossible to rank her right now because who knows? I think one issue that the poor girl has is that she was boring on her first season. She did not get a winner's edit at all. And I blame production for that because they totally could have done that for her. She got lucky on Spies, Lies, and Allies that girl said racist comments and she was brought into the game. But she also knew I've got to prove myself in ways that are not athletic. I've got to prove that I'm good TV. And I think that's a hard balance she finds now. I think she's genuine, but I do think she does insert herself into more now. And with the idea that like, hey, I've got to be on the screen or else I'm not going to get this call back. I don't want to find a 9 to 5. Like, would you rather show up and not win or not get called? I'd rather show up and not win. You still get paid for that. I don't know. But you're right. It'd be impossible to rank her.
Let's talk about the poor. Oh, no, go for it.
I was going to say, but if I had to, it'd be 2.
Just kidding. In terms of Big Brother players, probably,
yeah.
Let's talk about their pole wrestle, which was a different version of pole wrestle. Zoe, do you want to explain it?
Sure. It's pole wrestle, but instead of a pole, it's a ball with handles on it. That's about it. It's pole wrestle with a ball with handles.
And I will say, I was excited to watch this because for any of you who have found a way to watch the Australian episodes when they did this elimination, it was intense, like actually insane intense. This didn't live up quite to that, but it was still a good elimination.
Yeah, I think in my heart, I always like think of Hall Brawl as my favorite, but then I see a pole wrestle and I'm like, this shit is wild. And it was a perfect matchup. Perfect. Like you could not get 2 more evenly matched competitors. I really thought Nurys was going to pull it out because I do think that she's significantly stronger than Amber. But I don't know if it was just more of like a physical IQ that Amber had, or she would just had more experience and was playing the long game. Experience in what way? That like when all the jokes were going on about Amber's flexibility, right? Because Nurys got her into some funky positions. I was like, this is where next season Nurys won't lose if she gets someone into this position again, because she got her into these weird positions, and then instead of like then maneuvering her body to create more space between Amber and the whatever that thing was called, she just kept pulling, and Amber contorted again and somehow ended up in a dominant position. But this is one of the better pole wrestles we've seen in a long time.
I enjoyed it. And even TJ said that, and perhaps he has too, just like we had hit the montage of his laugh. That's neither here nor there. But it was really good for me. And although Nurys lost, like the moment she lost, like the genuine tears in her eyes, that made me be like, she's got to be on the next season. Like this, like, sure, the girl has crazy social media engagement. Like she probably does some of this for social media, as does everybody now who comes on reality TV. But like the girl cared. She was really in this.
So real. I loved it. I feel like we haven't seen that since like OG seasons of the challenge, where people just really are in the moment, in the competition, and just want to fucking win. And I loved that. I was same thing. When I saw that, was all the way in. Not that I haven't been already, but
It was someone who was like the show had been being on the show had been their dream, and she was living it and had been taken away, and she was real. It was awesome. The pole wrestle was great. And I like it when they alter the form of the pole in different ways, because like the way that they have the handles allow people to get into different positions. It's a completely different game where you really got to maneuver the body more. And Jordan explained it really well. Where it's like this is just a leg workout, it's an upper body workout, it's everything in this, and that's why I like it when it's a good little twist on a classic game. Fun. It was great elimination. Great elimination. Trivia's fun. There we go.
I think too, part of the reason the pain was so real is she knows she could have won it. Like it wasn't like one of those matchups where if she'd been against Olivia or Mariah or Tori, I think she would have gotten wrecked, just based on sheer physicality. But she had a chance against Amber, and she's gonna watch that back and learn from it. I can't say enough good things. I just was so excited that we finally got something that was worth watching.
I agree, and I think part of it too. I mean, she probably didn't have this foresight in the moment, but it she likely had it right after. Had she won that, I know people had viewed her as a threat and things like that. The next dailies, a men's day, that would have made Chauncey an obvious target for the other team because Amber's not there to say, "Hey, don't do that." Would have kept Nelson safe. The next week could have went in her favor. Like you just never know. Now how the cards are looking, and we talked about Nelson not being in on anything with this team. If that team loses, Nelson's the obvious person to throw in. He has no one on the other side to say, "Oh, let's not throw in Nelson. Let's not do that." So like
I'm surprised Devin hasn't tried to work the hey, why don't you throw a challenge angle with some people on the other team yet.
Yeah. I think we will see it next week because, I mean, if not, we're getting some variation of Horacio versus Jordan, Horacio versus Devin, or Jordan versus Devin, which, like, as much as I don't like the way this format has played out, getting any of those individual eliminations would be a dream because those are three very strong competitors.
Like, if he could get Bananas and Chauncey in on, and like Tori and Anissa in on getting Fessy and Nelson against each other. Compelling TV.
and he's smart enough to do that. But does he want to look that shady is I guess the real question. I don't know if he cares. Because I mean, I know there's still a lot of people, but the game's dwindling down.
It's so interesting because they have to be wondering at this point, like what the final is going to look like and what it's going to be. Because without, are they going to end up running the final as a team? Probably not. And then they're wondering, are we just going to like just roll the dice and everyone's going to get to pick a partner for the final? Are you running individually? Like what's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe they just think it's individual. I don't know. I'm really turned off to like the partners and finals being random, but that's probably from the Challenge USA. But I don't know. That is an interesting thought. Maybe they do think it's a team season. They need another team season to rewrite the wrongs of their last one.
I do have to say, if it's run as a team final, there are a couple things I'm sort of from that final we saw last season, and that was CT was very good. All the women did amazing. Devin was bad, and Nelson was catastrophically bad. Like he was pushing the tires into the ditches. He couldn't swim without a life vest. He just couldn't do math. He couldn't spell his name. He was a mess. He was one of the worst performances I've ever seen, and he kept trying to make up for it, and then just kept putting his team in worse position. So it's like I don't want that. I don't want Nelson on my team in a final.
Well, that's the other part too. So like if you think you're running it as a team, you're like protect Nelson and Anissa on that team at all costs.
Yeah.
Because the other team's in good shape if they run as a team. Like Devin might not do great, but he's going to beat Anissa.
Yeah.
He's probably improved. He didn't do well the last one, but I think he's probably improved. Our female cast, man, is in such a good state too, because everyone is just so damn good. I mean, you look down the line, and Anissa's the worst girl, but like Anissa still has some skills, and then after her, it's just such a stacked cast.
I saw on Instagram the other day someone like made a post. It was like unpopular opinion. Nani and Anissa will never win the show. Yada yada yada. Which who's to say? Like each season's so different. Like you never know. And Nani's come close before, so like I just think that's such a lame thing. However, Veronica commented, and correct me. Well, you can't because she didn't see it, but I think Veronica commented like even if Anissa's not going to win, you need people on the show that are threats in elimination because it's a layer of the game. And like I don't hate that idea because Anissa probably I'm wrong about this. Anissa should come into these games knowing she's not going to win, but she does have some really serious strengths. And that could be used to the advantage of who she wants to win, who she wants to help out. And she's also probably getting a pretty hefty check. So I don't know. I'm often critical of Anissa, but like I get her role on the show.
My biggest criticism of Anissa is the fact that she doesn't know she's not going to win. And I'm stuck. You said that someone posted that like was an unpopular opinion. Like that's a pretty popular opinion.
Yeah.
I think among diehard challenge fans and casuals, nobody thinks that Anissa or Nani are going to win. And I say that as the biggest Nani fan in the world. Like she has to talk about having the stars align. The stars have to align for Nani unless she becomes a cardio beast overnight. We've seen her stumble in that way. She was at her best on free agents. She still lost. Granted, she lost to Laurel, but like I agree with that point. I think that I like people who are there to serve a purpose. I think Nelson kind of does that too. Nelson is like this elimination physical beast who's also dumb as shit. But like there are roles to fill. I don't like the idea of Anissa going into a physical elimination against girls that are like a third of her size. I just think it's kind of bullshit, honestly. But she will be. I mean, she beat Tori in that endurance elimination pretty much, which was ridiculous. Tori should still be losing sleep over that.
Yeah.
Not to get too WWE, but like in wrestling, there are certain people who they are veterans who have a little bit of clout on their name, and their role at a certain point in their career is to be the first major opponent of someone who's coming up the ranks, and you beat that person to then get some clout on your name. That is Anissa's role. I mean, when Kayla beat her, when Cara beat her. Yeah, exactly. Once you beat Anissa, you've proven that you are a good competitor. Because that's like she's competent to a certain level. Is she ever going to win? No, but she holds a certain role in this game, and personally, I would like a season off from her, or 2 or 3, but it's not like she's a complete layup.
That's all we can ever ask for at this point. And sorry if you think this is negative, but if you do, like reevaluate this show that you're watching. Anything more than 4 seasons in a row, I think is too much. And that's coming from someone whose favorite did 8 seasons in a row. It was oversaturation. Like getting a break makes you that much more excited for the next season that they're on. That's why when Nani and West returned on World of Worlds 1, it was like, whoa, this is really cool. If you look back at it, it was just a couple years they took off, but like it made the return so much better. It worked out well for Nani because she's been on every single season since then and she's the face. But like had she kept doing season after season after season, people would have gotten burnt out. And not just her, but a lot of people like her are starting to burn out. That's why we got to put them in every so often.
Yeah, sprinkle them out, sprinkle them in. Even Amanda Garcia's return after a few seasons off was just like, yes, this is what we need. Like, and I think the vacation crew can take a break. I think you have enough star power in people like Olivia, like Nurys. I think if you're a returning champ, by all means, bring the returning champ back and let them try and defend their title because I think it adds a cool layer to the game of being like, you're an idiot if you let this person waltz their way all the way to the final. But let's get a little creative in the casting. Maybe start doing new seasons of The Real World, so we have new talent to pluck from.
Yeah, it's true.
Any last things we need to talk about before we end the episode?
My last comment is justice for Jenny West.
She's out there somewhere eating a lot of tuna.
Grieving.
I want to give a shout out to Nurys. I miss her already. I think that she is a glowing star, and I hope that she is on many seasons to come. She's the most beautiful person in the universe. I don't really care about her relationship with Jordan, but I'm glad it happened because it was interesting TV.
I would kill if like she got eliminated and like, Nurys, we're keeping you in the house just to have the showmance with Jordan. Only that alone.
She'd do it too.
Yeah.
She's a company man. She would do what has to be done.
Ooh, that's our episode. Make sure to hit like on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, Spotify, iTunes, etc., etc. Also, have a happy holidays, everyone. It's that time of year. Follow Zoe on Twitter at Zoe Trimbo, at Luke at Final Reckoning, me at the Allan McGeary. Just have a great day. Have a great weekend. Have a good time, everyone.
Bye now.